The Red Review is brought to you by Growth Ignition, the transformation consulting, training and enabling tech firm in the work-winning space, and their product set, the Bid Toolkit, the online bid processing guide with APMP accredited training and tools to download.
So, welcome to the Red Review with me, Jeremy Brim. Exciting episode this month, or this time. So I'm joined by my friend Krishna. We're going to be talking about websites and SEO, but particularly because we're having a rebrand. So we are going to, today, the day that this podcast episode goes out, we're going to be launching a new website and brand on our, in effect, our 5th birthday of the business. And Krishna's kindly supported us through that. So hello, Krishna, welcome aboard.
Hello, thanks for having me. It's been good to do this with you. So excited. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, so we've had a fun 3 months or so, haven't we? So first of all, if you can just tell people a bit about yourself and your business, the sorts of things you get up to, and then we'll get into what we've been up to together.
Awesome. So I am the founder and creative director of KSD, which is Krishna Solanki Designs, and we are a small but mighty Squarespace website design and visual brand identity creation agency. A bit of a mouthful, but essentially we create Squarespace websites and branding for independent businesses, SMEs, and agencies. Majority of our clients are in the UK, but we also have clients in like Europe and USA, and we essentially help them to increase their online presence by creating distinctive brands and bold and converting websites, Squarespace websites. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, and that brings us to nicely, actually, a nice segue to the start of the journey together, I guess. So first of all, we need to talk about the impetus behind the need for our rebrand for Growth Ignition, but particularly how that, to be honest, it comes down to SEO, doesn't it? So you know my wife Jules, and I've worked with her and her agency Marketing Mixology. Jules put us together because there was a realization that the website wasn't really converting leads. And so we had a call, I remember vividly, because how brutal you were. We had a call, didn't we, when I was in London in a hotel, a Teams call, and you were somewhere, and you'd had a look at the Growth Ignition website that I've had for 5 years, and you told me what a fucking disaster it was. And so we had this. But I definitely took away from it. Oh boy. So basically, I built that website over a weekend 5 years ago when I was standing the business up. I didn't really know anything about SEO, despite the fact my wife owns a marketing agency. So this is all very embarrassing. It's been an embarrassing 3 months working with you because there's lots and lots of stuff that I should have done. And lots of people have told me that I should have been doing for months, if not years. And so it's been nice to actually professionalize what we're doing. So
agreed.
The sort of impetus was that if you Googled bid writing training, as a for instance, I wasn't on page 10 or anywhere, let alone near the top. And these days, that's important, isn't it? So tell us your view of how we came together and the start of the project, I guess, Krishna, and the experience.
So for me, it was more a case of when we had that initial call, I remember thinking, hang on, who is your target audience? What is it that you offer? And what services, and are they actually, what's the connection here? Because when I looked at the site, I could see that the logo was kind of, I don't want to be mean, but it wasn't kind of ticking the boxes for like what I think your target audience would be expecting to see. And the same thing flows through the website. So it was almost like you didn't have keywords in your headings. You didn't have a structure to like the hierarchy in text H1, H2, which is something that comes in as Google would look at. And the visual element of it was okay, but you could kind of tell it was a homemade DIY job for a professional business. And that's where it was kind of falling over itself. And in your case, I think because of that, it kind of become inconsistent. You'd added into pages over the time of like having the business, and the user journey was a little bit lost. There was a lot of work to be done, basically. But it didn't just start the website for me. It kind of started, the phase before that, which is, who are your audience? What are they expecting to see? What will attract them to make sure that they are going to be getting the right service from you? And that visual element kind of lacked, and the delivery of the tone of messaging, everything just needed a little bit of an overhaul. So I remember talking to you about it and saying at that point that it's not a small thing to kind of consider, because there's a lot of strategy that's involved in making sure that you've got the brand identity looking the part as well as meeting the needs of the audience. And then that strategy then goes into content strategy, that then impacts your website strategy, social strategy. So there's a lot of strategies involved, and it basically, it just meant that we needed to, one, modernize the look and feel of the logo, the branding, the visual elements, but also make sure that that's followed through into any of the marketing material you're doing offline, so the presentations, and then actually bringing that into the website as well. So you've got that consistent overhaul look and feel and delivery. And actually, when we spoke initially, I do think that you had kind of outgrown the original brand and website, which is why we needed to kind of look at where you were and where you want to go, and then revisit and focus on that. So yeah, I think that was the driving force.
Yeah, I think so, but yeah, fairly brutal first conversation of, wow, what have you been up to, Jezza? Because bearing in mind, I coach clients on this kind of stuff all the time. It's one of those classic things, you don't do it for yourself, do you? You just tell other people. So yeah, it's a bit of a rude awakening. But then also the really interesting stuff was when Jules helped us out. She ran some analytics on what people actually search for in this space. And again, it's been a bit tough for the ego, because people who know me know that I enjoy bid writing's the home sport, the home territory that I grew up doing. But actually, in the last 10 years, I've been much more involved in capture and CAM and strategy. And that's the stuff I enjoy most, because it actually has the biggest outcomes for clients. But the slightly jarring thing is that no one searches for that stuff.
Well, it was because I think on your home and your old homepage or any of your pages, you weren't using those keywords, and you weren't actually looking to get found using those keywords. The content wasn't meeting those needs. So this is where SEO comes into play, and this is why it's really important, because to break it down, SEO stands for search engine optimization, and it's basically the process of improving your website so you appear higher on search engines. It's not a case of like you're going to hit number one, because obviously we know that we can get sponsored to be at the top of Google and stuff like that. But if the more you kind of focus on the content and the technical abilities that you've set up the website, that helps you to kind of rank higher on search engines, and that therefore will get you more clicks. So it's all very connected. I mean, you said it yourself. Google's one of those things, is like you kind of, the first thing you do and you're not sure about something, you're looking for something, you use those keywords, you type them in, you put them into that search bar, and then you expect that, the first thing that you're going to see on that first page, they're going to be the most credible, the most kind of comfortable, that that they're trustworthy because Google served them up to you. Now, it's hand in hand. You put those keywords in on your website and your audience is looking for them. As long as you're using the right keywords in the right places, in the right structured technical format, you're going to be served. And then obviously there's additional stuff you can do, like additionally on top of just making sure the technical elements are right. So yeah, that's why it's really important with SEO, because if you're not paying attention to it, you're technically not going to be on page one, which is where all the trust and credibility comes from people who are looking for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the big sort of business driver, is to get onto page one in effect.
Yeah.
But it's just the interesting journey we've been on in terms of understanding what people actually search for first or most. And there's a real reflection of the maturity in the UK around winning work, because we found that 800 people a month search for bid writing training, but only 50 people a month search for capture management at all, let alone training. And so that's quite stark. So you'll see when we look at the website, the new website, that it's really centered around bid writing as the driver. We help you win more bids as the entry point, when in reality, actually, we want to help clients upstream position better, look after their clients better, all of that good stuff too. So it's been an interesting journey in terms of what people search for, how that works, all of that good stuff.
From my perspective, from like someone who builds websites, it's that keyword research, it's that optimization, that's the first process, that's the first kind of step. Now, when I say keyword optimization, what that actually means is it's the process of adding that content and improving the content as well. So it's not a case of you've added it on once and we leave it there and it's done its job. It's a continuous process of making sure that it's improved, and making sure that you rank for those keywords so that like the target audience can find them, right? So it's part of that. When you're looking at keyword optimization, there are two main steps. One, you need to know what those keywords are, so you do the research. That's where the first step comes into. And then the second bit is like improving it, so you are optimizing it. And then being able to add things like blog articles, adding more copy on content onto websites where it's lacking those keywords. That's where you're making it really clear to Google that this is what your authority is. This is where you kind of thrive. And as long as you've got it makes sense. I mean, that's the first step. That's the keyword optimization. I mean, the second step is like technical optimization, making sure things like your images aren't really humongous, optimizing them so that you've got the right size image and the right width images, things like that, because again, that impacts your user journey and your user experience. And that's one of the things we looked at, because when we looked at your old site and we had that initial conversation, there was a case of like you've just added in pages and you didn't know, that information architecture, structuring it so they can find all your training courses in one place, finding out a bit more about you, a bit more about who you are, who the company is, how that has happened. Now, that journey that someone takes, that comes in as part of the technical optimization of the site as well. So making sure that the information architecture, I know these are words, jargony words, but if you don't structurally put the right pages in the right place, people won't know where to look, and that doesn't help.
Yeah.
So all that kind of stuff it's all part of the game, really. So yeah.
It is. So so talk us through the story, I guess, Krishna, of the brand journey we've been on, because the new logo, the new colours, the look and feel of the website and our brand more widely isn't just for fun and isn't just because it looks cool, and it looks really cool. Your creative group led by you is absolutely fantastic. I'm really, really pleased with where we've landed up. But just talk me through. So I filled out a questionnaire for you to tell us a bit about the business, and we had some calls and things, but tell me about the journey and what the brand means and what the color means and all of that good stuff.
Perfect. Okay, so essentially we took a holistic approach. We looked at everything from the top bottom, didn't we? We looked at what was working and what wasn't working, and then what the main reasons were to actually doing a rebrand and a redesign. We kind of identified really early on that your target audience, they are professionals, they are looking for loyalty because that's what one of your key values are. We kind of dug really deep into what your key values were and tried to see if that meant that was coming out in your previous visual. That confident approach that you have, that wasn't coming through in the original approach, in the original logo and the fonts and stuff that you were using. So for me, it was a case of, fonts have different personalities. Color has psychology behind it, and you've got to pick the right colors that complement not only the brand, but the values and also the future vision of the business. So looking at all of that from a holistic approach and realizing, the way you conduct business, the way Growth Ignition has grown, it doesn't seem to have ticked the box to what your visual elements are now. You were using a really weak kind of font, typeface in your font at that time. And, you're thinking about approaching really amazing larger organizations that need to show that you're going to have that credibility, you're going to have that confidence as well, and that didn't come through. So it was looking at that all over again. The colors is a really interesting one because different colors mean different things. So being able to pair in like that optimistic orange that you already had as part of the brand, but also bringing in that loyal blue that's very professional, that talks to like the more serious kind of businesses, but making sure that doesn't lose your confidence and your personal approach. So finding a font that was really personable in the body copy and using that throughout, it all has to complement. And I think that we've tied it together really, really well. And obviously angles in the website that we've got, they complement the logo, and the angles come from the growth that you can get from the graph, and everything just worked really well. So yeah, that's kind of holistically looking at everything. Now, you're right, you mentioned the questionnaire, so that is one of the key things that we need and we always ask clients to fill in. It's almost the basis of our brand and website strategy that then informs content strategy as well, because it's very strategic. It's a very strategic move. So being able to understand who you are, where you want to go, do our research based on what you've provided us, because at the end of the day, you know your business better than anyone else does, and it's about getting that information out from you so I can understand it, for me to then do research. And that research goes into like the industry players, competitors, the factors that directly impact or negatively impact the business. So we'd already touched upon the fact SEO wasn't on your existing site and you didn't have any kind of connection on Google and stuff like that. So making sure that we've thought that strategy through. And then essentially with the visuals, with the brand identity, what we did was did that brand strategy. Then we kind of did the research. We went away and created a whole toolkit, a whole suite of things. So the logo variation, complementary font pairings, a pattern, the color palette. And as part of that whole process, there's no point in me saying, here's your new visuals. It doesn't really make sense. So we kind of do this whole presentation where we showcase how it all looks in situ as well. So not only do you see the individual elements, you can see it all come together. And that's really important, because if you can't visualize how it's going to work and you don't see the key words in that context, you don't understand, as a client, you don't necessarily understand how it can all connect. So all of that happens. And actually, one of the key things we like to do is make sure that we send over the assets when they're signed off as well, so everyone can share about it, and that builds momentum. It builds a marketing kind of, you're on this marketing high because we've created something that we can really share with you. You can then start sharing it and build that momentum with like your audience, saying this is coming through, and just doing it step by step, which has been really nice. I mean, after the visual brand identity, then we're looking at the collateral items, so things like social graphics, you've got PowerPoint presentation decks, making sure that those kind of things all are consistent and are using like this style guide that we'll eventually provide at the end of the project. Because within that style guide, we also cover, website details, we cover the mission, we cover the values, and it all ties in. So it is a step-by-step process. For the website, we started on wireframing first. So for those who aren't aware, the wireframe is basically, it's like a skeleton of the key pages. It showcases page structure, layout, site information architecture, and we touch on any functionality that's going to be required on the page. So understanding that element is like the bare bones. And then from that, we then do design. We use the brand identity that you've signed off and we've created. We input all of those key elements of the content, making sure that the keywords are in the right place. We'll set up the heading styles, making sure that we've got right keywords in heading 1 all the way down to heading 4. Body copy, it comes all together at the design point, and then once that's been signed off over a couple of revision rounds, we then do the development. So looking at, because we built the site on Squarespace, we already know that it's easy to maintain and manage. So in that respect, it's a case of making sure that we're not doing too much disruption to your existing site, so putting the coming soon page up and then building out the pages in the back end of the site, making sure that it all works. And the best thing about using Squarespace, again, is it can grow with the business. So I know some of the things that you might that are coming up soon, or you have in the pipeline, like courses and stuff like that. So being able to plug and play, switch those things on and off, and really make sure that the information architecture works with what we know is coming up as well. So that's another key point to kind of mention, because it's all managed from the top level down. It's not like you put things in at the wrong points and it breaks. It can't break. So yeah. And go on.
Oh, sorry, it's just that was the whole Squarespace thing, and just its usability compared to WordPress and other things that are more sort of developer led and reliant on widgets and all that kind of stuff. I've just been there before, and that sort of thing's fallen over it. It's just a bit dangerous. And so I learned how to build Squarespace sites. Granted, not as well as you by the sounds of things, but I understand how it works and how to drag and drop things. And you're right, the development plan for the business and the development plan for Squarespace, so the developments of its new courses capability that launched last month. You went out to New York, didn't you, to learn about all that stuff. And the potential for community building is really quite useful with the future roadmap. So the rebrand and new website is kind of step 1 in a new journey for the business. We are going to be launching a leadership development program in business growth. next year. And so that's a development program for business leaders of SMEs or business units of bigger businesses that take them through basically everything that we do, how to do business planning well, marketing planning, but particularly CAM, capture, bidding, client experience and feedback, and a program that gives them the tools in how to do that practically for their business. And I'm garnering, hopefully going to get APMP's support in that. I'm at the reason why it's a bit noisy, I'm at the APMP conference in Birmingham today when we're recording on Wednesday the 18th, and been talking to the leadership about how I can hook them in to support that. So hopefully I'll land that. But we're on that kind of journey. There may well be an online community specifically for those cohorts. So I have to be careful. APMP, my partners that I'm one of the accredited lecturers for, they do conferences and certification and all of that kind of stuff. So I've got to be careful not to tread on toes, but we will have a specific conference next year in May, maybe called Growth Ignite or something like that, which will really drive home that leadership development program piece and the new brand and what we stand for. It'll be free tickets for clients and friends, and then some paid tickets for business owners and leaders of business units, etc. And it will take you through that work winning cycle. So we're on a journey towards those things, in creating a much more effective sales funnel fundamentally and community for the business, because it's not just the website I was lacking in. Actually, I'm not very good at engaging alumni, people I've trained. Some of my competitors are extremely good at that. I'm not very good at sell on, or haven't been. So people will come on my courses and then I won't check to see how they're doing or to sell them something else, or all those sorts of basics. So this is a key part of a cornerstone of a bigger change in really professionalizing our approach to growth, really, and serving clients and bringing value for clients.
Everything you just mentioned there, that ties in really nicely with like the products that Squarespace have as part of the platform itself.
Yeah.
There's things like being able to, one, reach out to the existing clientele or the people you're training, and like thinking about the conference that you've got coming up in May, all that collateral that we've created, all that visual brand identity. Not only can you use it throughout all of that to make sure that you've got that consistency, but also with the website, you can send out tailored branded newsletters and mail blast essentially to them once you've actually got them on the list. Now that's something that's like an extra product within Squarespace, but it's a quickly as like adding it on, toggle it, toggle off. Same thing goes for like the member site and the member area. So building that community, it's all toggle on, toggle off. So if you think from a future standpoint point of view, 6 months to 8 months to 12 months down the line, you've got the basic bare bones from the redesign and the rebrand from now. But actually, in 12 months' time, you could easily have your community living in the website. So you've got that touch point from when you meet them at a conference or you've done a training session to bring them back to the website. Then you're able to kind of send the mail shots from the website as well, because it's all under one roof. And you've almost built that sales funnel without even knowing it, unintentionally, because all of the things are connected. So that's really good. It's really good foresight into seeing what's
it's really exciting, isn't it? So the journey doesn't just stop on Monday when we launch the new site. We're going to be working together. You're a retained partner that's going to continue supporting us for the long term. So what does that look like moving forwards in terms of how does the project mature? Over the first year, we've just been talking offline about bits and bobs, but just talk us through, once you've delivered a project, or specifically mine, how do we continue to drive forward?
I mean, the first thing is the initial launch, which we're going through at the moment in the next couple of weeks. So if you imagine the first month or two, it's going to be introducing the new brand identity, the website design to the audience. We're going to monitor their feedback, make sure we get great feedback or see what their feedback is, and then make necessary adjustments, especially to the website in this case. And then that consistency carries through, making sure that after we've launched everything, all our marketing materials, both online, offline, that has to be reflected everywhere. So thinking about this May conference, making sure that we've got in a plan from now that if you need any additional collateral that needs to be created, or any roller banners or anything like that, it's all kind of thought for ahead of time. That kind of means that consistency in the next 6 months will really push the brand forward and the business forward, right? That also means we have to focus also on the SEO, the traffic growth, making sure that we are looking at the right keywords for the different services that you offer in the training, tracking it and looking at the analytics, and any changes that we need to make, we do them as part of the retained business and the project. It's the support. And actually, it's not just about the content you have on the site, but actually creating new content as well, making sure that you've got the blog articles up there, making sure that all just ties in really well. And basically, over the next 9 to 12 months, it's about putting into place all those strategies, implementing them. So we would have thought of the strategies, and that's one of the things we do as part of the retained stuff. We create the social media content if you needed it, or like provided with the graphics, but with the toolkit, it depends on what you need, essentially. And we assess it. We assess the whole thing from like the moment we launch to the feedback to updating content, reviewing it, and then just taking it from there. There's that feedback as well, because with launches, there's always going to be an element of like who's found it, how have they found it, and constantly trying to work out if the SEO has worked, if they're finding us through Google. So making sure that everything is optimized to give us that data. And things like, obviously, when you're optimizing the site anyway, mobile optimization, that's going to need to be continually kind of thought through as well, and giving that a really good kind of, I'd say every time the page, anything that needs to be updated on the website, always have to have mobile optimization anyway. But that's the one thing that a lot of businesses forget, that they forget to optimize it. So for mobile, so making sure that's kind of well planned and executed at every stage. So yeah.
Very good. And on that, actually, we have used the new brand. Jules has designed a pull-up stand and new business cards and all sorts, because we are forming a stronger relationship with the UK Department for Business and Trade. Used to be the Department of International Trade. So Jules is speaking at their conference, their Business Growth or Winning Work Abroad conference, on the 6th of November in London, actually, that people can find and get free tickets for, I think, and that will be in our new brand. She's representing the brand and giving a talk on Marketing 101 for Winning Work Abroad. And that leads me to some of the other roadmap, I guess. So we're doing an initial launch of the website with the services that we were pretty much already doing. But the leadership development program, the Growth Ignite program, will come in the coming months, probably Q1 next year. Before then, we will be launching a suite of marketing training courses that Jules's business will deliver in partnership with Growth Ignition, because she's really bloody good at it, actually. And she's been getting some really fantastic feedback in the last few weeks, both for Department for Business and Trade talks that she's done, but also more local networking stuff, ladies in business in Cambridge and all sorts of things. So she's building her confidence and credibility in that, which is great to see, but it's really valuable stuff. And I'm looking forward to introducing that to clients, actually. Content pillars, planning, social media strategy, talk to Krishna about your website, all of that stuff will come. So we're going to work together and really turn the volume up, because a lot of clients have wanted to pull on me for that, and it's very much her sweet spot, not mine. So that's all. So you'll see a new marketing training page will come to the website in the next couple of weeks, post launch as well. We just needed to introduce it fairly simply, and then we'll build, as you say, as we go. But exciting times. So thank you very much, Krishna. It's been a really fantastic project to work on. I've really appreciated your support and insight and the great work you've done creatively. It's stellar. We're on an even keel with our biggest competitors, if not better, I think, in terms of brand and what we stand for. We're articulating for the first time properly what we stand for in terms of credibility and authenticity, and honesty and confidence, and all of the sort of values that we have. So it's been great to work with you. So where do people find you, Krishna? What's your Insta handle or LinkedIn and that kind of stuff?
Actually, I've got to say thank you, because first, it's been one of the best projects we've had hit the desk this year anyway, because it's been so thorough and holistic, and it's nice to be able to actually do things right from the start, even if it is you're starting from scratch, because you can then actually see how that can really work going forward, and it's not like you're just picking things up halfway. So yeah, thanks for that first, because it's got to be said, it's a brilliant project to be part of.
Thank you.
In terms of where can you find me, so My website, Krishna Solanki Designs, and you can Google it. It should come up at the top. There should only be one of us.
Of course, yeah. And the SEO should be really on point.
Exactly. Well, it's an ongoing thing, but yeah, SEO is one of the things we like to focus on. Other than that, I'm on LinkedIn as Krishna Solanki, or the company page, which is Krishna Solanki Designs, and on Insta, Krishna Solanki Designs. But be warned, the Instagram is a very human-led approach, so there's a lot of random other bits and pieces just about life in general that come up on there, but it's just how things are.
Yeah, it's a human business, isn't it? Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Krishna. I hope people, I hope the new content all resonates with people. Do give me feedback. Send me private messages, hopefully with resounding positivity. But if I've left a spelling mistake somewhere in the content, do let me know. But I think you've caught all that, and we'll go from there. Thank you very much, Krishna. Thank you very much.
Pleasure was all mine.